Hey everybody, I just want to thank everyone before I get into the video for all the support recently. I have been unable to upload anything for a little bit, having just moved and I recently started a new job, but I'm feeling pretty settled in and ready to get back into making some videos again. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. Starks Park is a football stadium that's located in Kirkcaldy, Scotland, and has been the home of Raith Rovers since 1891. Raith Rovers were originally founded in 1883 and played matches at Robbie's Park, which was also located in Kirkcaldy. The club moved to Starks Park in 1891 when Robbie's Park was used to create a public park named after Provost Michael Beveridge. Upon moving to Starks Park, the club turned fully professional by 1892 and were the first football club from Fife to be elected into the Scottish Football League for the 1902-1903 season. After multiple successful years in the second division, the club was elected to join the first division for the 1909-1910 season. And only 3 years later, the club made their one and only appearance in the Scottish Cup final as they lost to Falkirk 2-0. As the ground continued to develop, and with the sale of Alex James to Preston North End in 1925, the club was able to add an L-shaped main stand which housed the dressing room and the supporters' lounge, and was designed by the famous stadium architect Archibald Leach. Today, the stand sits on the southeast corner of the pitch and is adjacent to the south stand. When looking at an overhead picture of the ground, it's obvious that the stand needed to be shaped this way, as Pratt Street is right behind what is now called Turnbull Hutton main stand. The terracing at Starks Park was initially open to the elements, except for one section that was known as the Coo Shed, which was on the opposite side of the ground as the main stand, and it ran about 2/3 of the length of the pitch. By the 1950s, the ground continued to change, as terraces were raised on all sides of the pitch and were later covered with shed roofs made of asbestos sheets, and by 1959, floodlights were installed that had a similar design to those of Tannadice Park, as they were large pylon-shaped structures. The club was able to afford the floodlights following the sales of a few notable players, as Jackie Stewart, who had 21 goals in only 44 appearances, was sold to Birmingham City. Jim Baxter was sold to Rangers, where he would make 136 appearances, and Jimmy McEwen was sold to Aston Villa, which also required Aston Villa to play a friendly match at Starks Park, which was the first match ever played under the floodlights. The next 30 years saw limited changes, but by 1981, the club sold striker Andy Harrow to Luton Town, which allowed the club to demolish the old and dated railway enclosure and build a 1,000-seat stand on the south side of the pitch and terraced concrete steps on the north side. The early 1990s saw the next big change, as upon relegation and with expectations of a quick return to the Scottish Premier League, in 1992 the Raith Rovers board spent £250,000 upgrading the north and south ends, in which new concrete was laid, new terracing was built, and crush barriers were erected. Unfortunately for Raith, following the 1995-1996 season, the board was forced to tear down the newly added additions, as the club was unable to gain promotion and could not afford to continue to pay for those upgrades. This would all change later in the decade, as Bar Construction was then appointed to redevelop Starks Park, in which they added two 3,370-seat stands that contained built-in floodlight towers behind each goal, and a 1,000-seat stand that would join onto the 1980s railway stand. This redevelopment brought the capacity of Starks Park up to 10,700, all of which being seated. While this redevelopment was a major improvement, the main pavilion was completely untouched, and it still had the asbestos roof, concrete steps, and wooden seats with benches. In 1999, a new metal roof and plastic seating was installed, which was very necessary, especially with the danger of asbestos, but as a result, the capacity was reduced to 8,473. In addition, as of the 2017-18 season, the railway stand was to be converted into a standing support section. That will bring the capacity up to 11,198. Although it's unclear if this renovation is fully complete, as at least half of the railway stand looks to be standing room, but the other half, it's unclear. The last main change came in the 2017-18 season, as at the end of the season, the club decided to install a new artificial pitch. The current ground is made up of 4 stands. The first, the Penman family self-stand. Next, the Turnbull Hutton stand, which is the L-shaped stand that has Pratt Street backing onto it. The SM Electrical Railway stand. And the Craiglea Timber Frames North stand. As a fan of UK football stadiums, I really like the look of Starks Park, as it has two large traditional style stands behind the goal, which is very interesting, and it has an L-shaped traditional style stand, which I think looks amazing in comparison and with the other stands in the stadium. It looks like a great place to watch a football match, and is certainly on my list of stadiums I'd love to visit. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video and found it to be both interesting and informative. If there are any other stadiums you'd like a video on, please leave it in the comments, as I have a list of your requested stadiums I'm trying to work through. And yeah, that's always appreciated. So yeah, I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.